Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. My name is Preston Jacobs. We are talking about some ice and fire. And um, I was doing some thinking, I was doing some research about how these guys could have won their war, how they screwed up. And I was thinking about it because in the end, Patchface makes the comment that, under the sea, they don't wear hats, and so this idea of did no one win the War of the Five Kings? I mean, you could argue Joffrey won, but let's go about the other guys first. When I say like, oh, how could they have won? I mean, Joffrey did win, so I guess Joffrey. Kudos to him, the one winner of the War of the Five Kings. But I want to talk about the other guys. Let's and some guys have it harder than others, I'll have to say. So let's see. Who should we begin? Let's begin with Robb. And I actually think that Robb Stark. Um, I think Robb Stark made the biggest mistake of all of them. I think that like the other guys had a much harder position to be in, and they have grander plans than Robb Stark. Robb Stark. Let's put Robb up for a second. Let's talk about good old Robb Stark, book Robb. I mean, I'm just showing. You know. So what's pretty cool about Robb and the situation with him is that they do discuss all of their options at the end of a Game of Thrones, and they go through all of their options in the last Catelyn chapter. And in the end, Robb has a very specific goal, and his goals are essentially revenge on the Lannisters and get his sisters back. Okay? Those are the two things he really cares about. Getting revenge on the Lannisters and getting his sisters back. Now, the hard part about Robb's goal is those two things go against each other. And so we go through in the last Catelyn chapter, like all the things he can do to try to achieve his goals. And the first thing they do is, they're discussing, oh, should we march? How should we fight the war? And then they start talking about Renly, and they're like, oh, we should team up with Renly. And a lot of people bring this up, like, is it important whether or not Robb teams up with Renly or Stannis? And it's really not. Like, the North and Renly and the North and Stannis never go to war with each other. Their alliance, and a lot of people talk about it like, oh, it's so stupid that they never really made an alliance. It's irrelevant whether they made an alliance or not. Okay, there's never a point in which the two fight. They're all attacking the Lannisters. I mean, the Baratheons. I mean, the Baratheon boys attack each other, and that's really stupid. But the North never fights with Stannis, and the North never fights with Renly. So if you're going back and saying like, oh, would that have helped? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't have helped. I'm sorry. I mean, somebody might think, oh, if Robb declared for Stannis, would Renly have been as arrogant? Yes, he would. It would. And the thing is like, no matter what Robb does, we got to remember that, the Ironborn are looking for him too. So, you go through these options on what he has, and they say, okay, maybe declare for Renly, and they kind of go no, and Robb's like, no, Renly's not the real king, and he gets into this like succession discussion, and you're just like, dude, you're dumb. Okay, the succession discussion is irrelevant, considering at the end you just declare yourself independent, as if that is somehow any different than Renly usurping. So it's that's just silly. Now they talk about like, oh, we can't make peace with Tommen. You know, let's say we kill Joffrey, we can't make peace with Tommen because he's a Lannister, and things like this. And of course, in this discussion, Catelyn is, you know, at this point the smartest character, and she suggests peace. She's like, fuck it, let's make peace and get Arya and Sansa back. And it's worth exploring Catelyn's discussion. Now, everybody, of course, regrets it. And one of the big, I would say the smartest, most interesting aspect of the rejection, rather than, like, a lot of people are just like, fuck that, Lannisters suck. But I think it's Blackwood makes the very good point that if they make peace with the Lannisters, are they not now rebels against Renly and Stannis? And that is a very, very good point. That if they made peace with the Lannisters, would they be forced to then just be in a war with Renly and Stannis? And that would suck. Now, I have to say, if they made peace with the Lannisters, that would probably keep the Ironborn from attacking them, because Balon thinks that Tywin is too clever to deal with. That's the weird thing about Balon is he fears Tywin, and he's like, oh, I could take Lannisport, but I wouldn't be able to keep it because Tywin's just too good of a general or whatever. So I kind of do think that, I mean, and this is huge. I kind of think that, of course, you make peace with the Lannisters, you know, the Ironborn are suddenly scared of you, and there's no Red Wedding. You know, there's no Red Wedding at that point. Not that, you know, anybody can predict the Red Wedding, but all of that is true. So Catelyn is making a good point here. Now, would they be forced to fight against Renly and Stannis? Well, you know, you go into the diplomatic situation. You say, okay. Now, keep in mind also, like, the Lannisters don't even have Arya, so and at this point they've got 4 Lannisters in their possession to trade. They've got Cleos Frey, they've got Tien, they've got Willem, and they've got Jaime. You're trading 4 Lannisters for Sansa and peace, but you have the caveat: we will not put forces against Stannis or Renly. Like, that's not our war. You could probably make that deal and just say, like, and the Lannisters would probably accept it. They'd just be like, for fucking Sansa? Okay. Because this is the end, is like, the only thing that Robb is looking for here is revenge on the Lannisters, which he can just set that down. He can just set that down like a sack of rocks and forget about it, which is what Catelyn's talking about. Like, this is stupid. And then say, I want Sansa back. And then, but part of the deal is that we do not participate in your war against Renly or Stannis. And I think that might work. Now, it's a really bold, because all of a sudden all of the Northern Lords are probably like, oh my God, this Robb guy, he sucks. He's such a pussy, whatever. But I think that, because it's such a lopsided deal, I think the Lannisters would probably accept that deal. Be like, okay, you know, our hosts go home, defend our lands, but we have peace. You get Jaime, Willem, Tien, and Cleos, and we get Sansa. And you just accept it. So really, I know that it's not much of an answer, because it's like, how do you win the war? Well, by immediately removing your goals and objectives, or most of them, right? Um, and just get Sansa back. That would have been the smartest thing. I think Catelyn is correct, and you could have, I think, gotten that. I think they would have accepted that. Now, if you want the Lannister part, you want that revenge on Lannisters, I think the big thing is there is nothing gained, zero gained from declaring yourself king in the North. There is nothing. And at that point, because keep in mind, one of the big things that like Stannis, why he didn't want to deal with Robb, was the fact that Robb declared himself king in the North. Nothing is gained from declaring yourself king in the North. Absolutely nothing. So why do it? Like, what was the point? You're losing your bargaining power, and your negotiation power. Like, I think in the end, like, and then they say, okay, who should we declare for, Stannis or Renly? They did not need to do that. Like, no, like, just don't declare. Don't declare. You know, Lysa Arryn didn't. Doran Martell didn't. Like, just sit back and don't declare. Keep fighting the Lannisters, and don't even worry about Renly and Stannis. But that's mostly the story. They mostly don't worry about Renly and Stannis. So like, and then, you know, the Ironborn attack. So it's like, I mean, so the big thing is like, you fucking gave up Theon. You didn't leave enough people at Deepwood or at the Neck at Moat Cailin. You know, so like, that's the thing. Revenge on the Lannisters is gonna happen anyway. Like, Stannis and Renly are getting revenge on the Lannisters for you. So getting your sister back is really the only thing you should be worried about. Robb Stark, the way you win the war is you do exactly what Catelyn says in A Game of Thrones. You make peace and you get Sansa the fuck back. You give him Joffrey. You give him Jaime. You give him Tien and Willem and Cleos, and you say, we will not participate in your war against Renly and Stannis. Now, and then the North, I mean, the Ironborn are now scared of you because you know, Tywin is now, you know, not at war with you anymore, and so then you just sit back, you watch everything unfold as it did, and the Lannisters just destroy themselves, you know. But of course, like, the Lannisters win after that, so they'd probably be sitting there in Winterfell being like, oh, this sucks. Like, the Lannisters are still on top. And then what does Stannis do at that point? But I mean, I suppose, you know, you don't get Boltons in the North or any of that. Stannis goes to the Wall. Then you have to think about what you're going to do at that point with Stannis at the Wall. But, you know, the point is keep, you know, just gotta keep the Ironborn out. So I think that's the big thing. I think making peace, I think Catelyn is correct. Make peace with the Lannisters, get Sansa back, and then just sit back and watch the Lannisters kind of fall apart. Okay. Let's move on to King number 2. Let's talk about our boy Stannis. Okay. Stannis is hard. It's harder for Stannis to win because he has so much less and his goals are so much more, right? He's in a really shitty position because he needs to become king of all 7 kingdoms, right? That's his goal. How does Stannis achieve this? Um, so Stannis is in a sucky situation because one, he's a douche and nobody likes him. Two, he just doesn't have that many forces, so he doesn't look like he's going to win, and people love to back a winner. And three, um, he follows this foreign religion that is an abomination to most people in the kingdom. Um, Now that said, in the prologue of A Clash of Kings, we go through all like Crescent goes through all of the options on what on well not all of the options, but he goes through a lot of options on what Stannis can do. And he says, you know what, you should team up with Robb Stark. And he's like, nope. And you know what? It doesn't matter if he teams up with Robb Stark or not. War would come because, like I say, they never fight each other. Robb does fight the Lannisters, and you know, it doesn't matter. Like it's just so teaming up with Robb irrelevant. So then Crescent says, oh, you should treat with Renly, and he's like, no. Well, he does treat with Renly, and Renly denies him and says, look, I'm king, ha ha ha. So treating with Renly doesn't do shit. And then he says, team up with Lysa. And he says, and his big excuse is, well, Sweet Robin's a sickly boy. Why would I team up with Lysa? Teaming up with Lysa would be incredibly advantageous. It's a very smart suggestion that Crescent makes that Sweet Robin and Shireen get married. However, it's one of those situations where he doesn't know that Lysa's insane and would never team up. I mean, one, because of the fostering thing that went down, but also like Lysa's the kind of person that would be like, get that Shireen away from my son. She has grayscale. Like, you're gonna get him killed. Like, she would never agree to a marriage. Not to fucking mention, Littlefinger is secretly behind everything with Lysa. So there is zero chance of a Lysa Stannis alliance, despite the fact that, like, on paper it looks great, but once you know these personalities, like, it's just not going to happen. Now, here's the thing, though. So we know that he's not getting any peace with Renly. He's not getting any peace with Lysa. Peace with the North is irrelevant, which basically that leaves us with Dorne and the Iron Isles. And the thing is like, that's never brought up. Like, no one's like, hey, Dorne, Iron Isles, like, hey, Stannis, like, maybe you should send a fucking raven and team up with them. You know, like, we wait well into A Clash of Kings for people to start courting Doran, and it's the Lannisters are the first people to do it, who are supposedly already aligned with them. So, like, why wasn't Stannis trying to court the Dornish, and why wasn't Stannis trying to court the Iron Isles? It's really a dumb move. Like, he wasn't looking at all his options there. So I'm not saying that, like, Stannis would have been successful, because like I say, he's got the hardest lift. He's got the hardest lift of all of them, which is the whole. Well, I think why a lot of people like Stannis is that he's the ultimate underdog, right? But he didn't even try. He didn't even try. I mean, you say Shireen, like offer Shireen to Trystane, offer Shireen to Quentin, you know, like, and then get him in the war. You got your spears right there. That's some. I mean, he's still going to lose to Renly, but you know, offer. What else does he have to offer? I mean, offer the Ironborn the North. Like, do whatever you want, man. Offer the Ironborn anything that they want. Get those ships. Get those ships. You know, do something. Do something. And that's the thing. I mean, I think in the end, like, you know, Stannis didn't look at all of his options. Instead, he decided to go straight to attacking his brother at Storm's End, and it really, it's just it was that was not useful at all. So really, I'd say Stannis, that Crescent is wrong in that he doesn't even bring up Dorne and the Iron Islands, which is the forces that Stannis needs to be working on. And if Stannis can't get, now I'm going to rewind a little bit on Crescent and the Iron and the Vale. If he can't court Lysa, just go straight to the Royces, man. Go straight to the Royces. You're king. They don't need to follow their liege lord. You're the fucking king. Go to the Royces. Offer other people. That's the thing is, they just sat there and was just like, Sweet Robin's like weak and sickly. Let's move on. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Go to the Royces. Go down the list. Start courting other people in the Vale. What are you fucking doing, man? Ridiculous. All right. Let's move on to everybody's truly favorite king. Good old Balon. Good old Balon, man. Now, Balon, I think he actually has an easier, in some sense, his goals are, maybe they're not as modest as Rob's, but he kind of just wants revenge on the North and a piece of the North, right? Pretty modest, right? He wants revenge on the North and peace on the North. So he essentially, his plan is like attack the North and then hope that the Lannisters just give him stuff as consolation later. And Tywin's like, why would I fucking do that? He's giving me these services for free. So, I mean, obviously, like, Balon's problem first is he should have contacted Tywin in the first place, gotten an agreement from the start. But the other thing is, and this has a little bit to do with like retcons, is that when Balon goes and attacks the North, he uses like 200 ships. Okay, like it's nothing. Okay, and he attacks, the Neck, Deepwood Mott, and the Stony Shore, and that's all he does. The thing is like later we find out actually the Ironborn had a fucking 1,000 ships, or even if the miscounting thing comes up, they have 500 ships. They had such a larger force than what they fucking used. Like, what were you doing? Now, part of that is because, when things are written with the 5-year gap, like they were expecting the Ironborn to like build ships for 5 years and then have this huge fleet. But as it's written now, he had this fleet lying around. He had all these ships lying around and he just fucking didn't do anything with them. So he makes this comment that he's scared of Tywin. And they can take Lannisport, but they can't keep it. Take Lannisport and then bargain. Take Lannisport and bargain for something, there's lots you can do with that, especially with fucking 1,000 ships. Also, Balon, like a lot of fucking mistakes he made. Okay. Cause obviously, the big thing that brings down Balon in the end is Euron or whoever happens to assassinate him, whether it be Euron or whether it be, Jason Mallister or whoever, it doesn't matter. Why did he not have any protection around him? It's ridiculous. Why isn't he on the front lines battling? He doesn't even go with his armies. He just stays at home, hanging out on bridges. what person does this? Like, go in your fucking boat, go out there, have protection around you, like a regular monarch would have, and don't get yourself killed. Also, have a very, very clear like succession cycle, like a succession situation. Yes, everybody's like, oh, he intended Asha to follow him. Have everyone swear vows to that. Like, don't do this willy nilly. You know that your people are a bunch of like fickle assholes. Just fucking like say to everyone, no, Asha is gonna follow me. She is going to be whatever, either Lady of Pike or Queen of the Iron Islands. Like that's just it. Um, so like just do that. The other thing, his other big thing, I mean, failure to see some like external forces assassinating him, which they all should recognize. But also he failed to recognize how powerful his brother Aeron was. Okay, Aeron, they were ready to declare him king, and then he just says like, "Hey, let's do a king's moot," and they all go, "Fine, let's do a fucking king's moot." Like he had a fail. That's a complete failure to recognize how important and how influential his brother was. Should have had his brother long ago declare that Asha was his heir and that everyone should follow Asha. Like have him vow that a million times over, knowing, I mean, you should know how important and influential your brother is, you know? So that's the thing. So have more protection, have a very clear succession, keep Aeron close, respect and keep Aeron close. Use the ships. Use your ships. Don't let them sit around. Take Lannisport. Use it as a bargaining chip. Negotiate. Do treating beforehand. Like negotiate with the Lannisters if you want a piece of the North. Your ask was not that much. Like I just want some of just give me Deepwood Mott and some of the Stony Shore. Like fuck, that's nothing. That's nothing. Take it. Take it. Man, he probably had, I think, like looking back on it, he has the easiest time to get what he wants and fails at it because he didn't even try. He didn't even try. He had all these resources. He's barely asking for anything. All he had to do was treat. All he had to do was negotiate, and do the basic things that kings do: having clear succession, keeping their religious leaders close and in check, and using their forces. I mean, Balon fails on the fact that he just doesn't do doesn't do basic lordly monarch like actions. So, all right. Finally, let's talk about Renly. Good old Renly. Is there any way for Renly to win? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he might get assassinated by shadows anyway, but I'll tell you, like Renly, the guy has his forces at Bitterbridge. He has his huge army at Bitterbridge. And then he chooses to like bring them to Storm's End. Just fucking march on King's Landing. March on King's Landing now. March on King's Landing now. Declare yourself king. Done. Like, that's it. Take King's Landing. Get rid of the Lannisters first, immediately. Done. And then after that, then you can start negotiating with Robb. You start negotiating with the Vale. Things like that. But, like, why did you go to Storm's End to deal with your brother, treat with your brother, when King's Landing was right fucking there? Just fucking invade King's Landing and take it. That's it. Man, Renly, you had the easiest. Instead, you're sitting around having, I mean, here, let me overlay with his goals, because he wants to be king of the Seven Kingdoms, right? he's got this massive army. He's got this massive army at Bitterbridge. Okay, all he's got to do is march to King's Landing, and he's won. All right, like that's it. That's that. And then after that, like once the Lannisters are out, then you know, if he does that, first of all, like the Iron Islands all of a sudden is like fuck, like we're scared, we're not gonna deal with Rob, but like because Tywin's defeated and Renly's king. Um, but then after that, you can start treating with everybody else, and then you can say, okay, well, we've got, Lysa never had anything bad to say about Renly. Rob didn't really have anything bad to say about Renly. It's just, people like, just take it. Like, take it. Like, Renly is the biggest fuck up because he actually was right there about to win the war and he just doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it. He's like, I'm just going to go to Storm's End. Like, why? Just fucking take the kingdom. Just take it. Man. I mean, maybe he'd be assassinated by Shadow Babies later, but at least you're king of the, at least you get to sit on the Iron Throne. I don't know. I mean, the other thing about going to Storm's End is your brother. You've been spending, you're on the council together. You're hanging. You know your brother. You know that your brother is going to say no to you. You know that. Stannis is not going in any universe to submit to his brother. So why even have the negotiation? What's the point? What's the point of, like, there's none. Renly gains nothing. I mean, maybe he gets a few other Stormlanders to join him, but he has enough. Like, you have all the Tyrell army right there. You can just take King's Landing and you can win. End of story. That's it. Man. All these kings are fucking stupid now that you go through it. Like, and finally, I mean, Joffrey did win, but I'm trying to think if there's anything that Joffrey wants after this that we're forgetting about that he could have done better. Or does Joffrey? I mean, obviously Joffrey is stupid in that he beheads Ned in the first place. That's really dumb. But once the war starts, does Joffrey have any? Does he have any false moves? I mean, I could say like killing the Antlermen. Like, it's like. Being nicer to Tyrion. That's like somebody says. Being nicer to his uncle. I mean, he wins. Joffrey never made a mistake. Not eat the pie. I don't know if he can get around not eating that pie. Or not drinking that wine. Like, somebody's gonna poison him, right? At some point. Be a good person. I mean, the thing is, he wins the war. Yeah. But if Joffrey hadn't been like, let's say he is nicer to Tyrion, does Littlefinger or anybody else choose to kill him at some point? Or Alina or whatever. Does somebody try to assassinate him at some point? Probably, but but yeah, get a food taster. That's true. But in the end, like, can I fault the Lannisters can I fault Joffrey for much? Joffrey's war decisions. I mean, for the most part, he didn't get in his mom and Tyrion's way. Cersei was completely correct in increasing the number of gold cloaks and looking into wildfire. Tyrion was perfectly correct using the chain and utilizing the wildfire as well. Great teamwork on Cersei and Tyrion's part. Um, and then Tywin made it, sending off of Littlefinger to get that agreement with the Tyrells and everything. I guess that all works. I suppose. I suppose like you say, everybody should have just executed Littlefinger. Executing Littlefinger is is probably the smartest move that anyone should have done. So I say that like that even Joffrey should have recognized that Littlefinger was a piece of shit and should have executed him. And that might have saved his life, executing Littlefinger. So that's which shouldn't everybody execute Littlefinger? Why would you not execute Littlefinger and Varys? Just execute them both. Like that's just smart move. Okay. So there's the War of the Five Kings. Um okay, let's get into some other discussions here. If I were going to write a book in the same POV style as the main series covering Robert's Rebellion, how would you tackle the timeline and events? Who's the POV character? Who the POV characters be? Ned, Jaime, Lyanna, Brandon. So the two different. I mean, this is an interesting question. Um, I think it would be a really tough book to write in the sense that the beginning of the war, within the period of 3 months, you're talking about Rickard and Brandon dying, and that huge scene, and then immediately you'd flash to Robert doing his battles in the Vale, getting to the Stormlands, doing battles, going into the Reach, going up to Stony Sept, and then having the yeah Stony Sept, and then the wedding, and then what, like 7 month gap, whatever. We don't even like the the very weird hole in the middle of the story, and then you have the Trident, you have the Fall of King's Landing, and then you have Siege of Storm's End, and then you have Tower of Joy, and then maybe you'd have Starfall, right? So if I were writing a book of it, I mean that'd just be a horribly paced story, horribly paced story. But if I were going to do a POV style, you can probably do. I mean, you'd obviously have you need Eddard. You can probably do Catelyn. You'd have Jaime, and then Robert would be a horrible POV, but I think maybe somebody in Robert's camp, a random with Robert, and then you have John Con. Right, this would work because you begin the story hearing about things from Catelyn's, you'd start with Catelyn, and you should be hearing about stuff, Brandon telling her stuff, and then you go to Jaime, and Jaime covers the story of Brandon and Rickard dying at King's Landing, and then you can jump to the Vale for an Eddard chapter, then maybe somebody with Robert for a lot of the battles, and then you can switch to John Con for the Battle of the Bells, Stony Sept. Go back to Catelyn for her marriage, and then you can go to Eddard or somebody with Robert for the Trident. Go to Eddard for Fall of King's Landing, or go to Jaime for Fall of King's Landing. Anything that you want. Go to Eddard for the Siege, Tower of Joy, Starfall. A lot of it's from Eddard's position, really. but you can do it pretty easily. I mean, I would just add. I mean, obviously, somebody with Robert can cover that, but John Con would just be more interesting, I think, as a person to have in there. But it can be done with relatively few um, POVs. I wouldn't have a Liana or anything like that point of view. It would take away all of the mystery of what's going on and the motivation behind people's stuff. So, question: why didn't the Mormons go to Winterfell with when Robert visited? He begs Tyrion due to recent losses. Georg Mormont, but sent Benjen lazy. Huh. Well, I mean, first off, like, hmm. I mean, why didn't both of them go, right? I mean, I guess I don't know. It's this idea of like I guess he wanted to maintain the wall, and he didn't want to be gone too long. Benjen is a winter is a Stark. He sends him there. But you're right that like Mormont should have gone if he really wanted to beg Robert, rather than like waiting for Tyrion to come up and then sending Tyrion. No, you're absolutely right. That's if it was really important. I mean, when you think about like all of the begging that Georg Mormont does, right? He sends Benjen to Winterfell. He then talks to Tyrion. Then he sends Alistair Thorne to King's Landing. Um, you had a chance to go meet the king, talk to the king face to face. You had that opportunity and you didn't do it. Like he's yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's no good reason that he shouldn't have done that. If he truly believed that these losses were there. But like I say, Mormont is so inconsistent in a Game of Thrones with regards to like you know forgetting and re-remembering and forgetting that the White Walkers have come back. Um, it's you know that's you're right that like at the beginning of the story he should have like gone down and been like, yeah, something crazy is going on. We've been spotting White Walkers. We need more men on the wall, stuff like that. Yeah. Oh, totally. Mm, mm. The reason he didn't go, Mormont's Raven told him not to. That's the real Mormont's Raven was like, don't go, Corn, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna chill here, just gonna chill. I mean, this is a guy who is bold, and you might be like, oh, maybe he was like nervous to talk to the king. This is a guy who proposed the Great Ranging. Like he's bold. He's freaking bold. He gives away 500-year-old swords that have been in his family to randos. He's bold. He's a bold motherfucker. Should have gone down and talked to Robert himself. You're right. Um, Preston Jacobs early fanfic with what ifs. I think it has great um, potential to find ways to not horribly depress me. Uh, yeah, I mean, I normally don't like talk about the what ifs too much because it is really hard to, with all of the moving parts, think about how things go. I mean, the story doesn't make logical sense in the first place. Like people just the story needs to be what the story needs to be, and George pushes it that way. Um, so it's hard to go into the what ifs, um, but yeah, um, it's still fun. I still think the with the War of the Five Kings. Um, The Starks could still get revenge by seceding after getting Sansa back and having their armies back up north. I mean, it's not that they couldn't, but the real problem with, like, I mean, obviously there's this fundamental problem with the Starks in that they have the Riverlands attached to them as well, and so it's like, could yes, say they get Sansa, and then they go back on their word, and they're like, ha ha, fuck you guys, we're independent. Tywin and the Lannisters can just be like, fine, we're gonna punish Riverrun, we're gonna punish your brother and sister and things like that. Catelyn's brother and sister and things like that. So I mean, that's the thing, is there's still people that they care about that the Lannisters can grab and punish, as revenge. But it's true that, like, the North seceding with just the north of the neck portion is a lot more realistic than ever seceding with the Riverlands. It was just such an impossibility. You can't defend the Riverlands, so. But yeah, I mean, I think get Sansa back, and then it's will House Summerchild be in the fanfic? Probably not. I mean, Summerchild is it's a little silly. Like, someone who would see Summerchild as like being a Summerchild is something in the book, and it's an insult in the book. So like being House Summerchild is silly. I mean, granted, George puts in all sorts of silly stuff. I know, other Shet, Elmo, Grover, I get it, but they're in Crusader Kings. House Summerchild's in Crusader Kings. That's good enough. Your Ned is hand. How do you ensure it let Lannister defeat? Oh, I mean, I've gone over this in my going over Game of Thrones. Ned's mistake in Game of Thrones is that he has it's not that he, some people are like, oh, he's too sympathetic, or he has too much mercy towards Cersei. That may be true, but my big problem with Ned is that he has inconsistent goals. And this is the thing, is have a mission. What do you want? Have clear goals, so you don't end up with your fucking Iran war with Straits of Hormuz. Like, what are your goals? What do you want? Ned declared that his goal in his chapters was that he is having mercy for Joffrey and Cersei and the kids, and wants them to self-exile. Then, when they don't self-exile, he just sits around stewing when he knows that Robert's going to come back and kill them. So, like, by your own word, you shouldn't be sitting around and stewing. By your own word, you should be rounding up Cersei and the kids and exiling them before Robert gets back. And so my big problem with Ned is the fact that, like, he has shifting goals. He doesn't know what he fucking wants. Like, one chapter he wants mercy just so he doesn't, like, take action against Cersei. Just so that we can have him in a situation where he gets fucked over when Robert comes back injured. Like, it's stupid. It's Ned is so stupid. He should have rounded up Cersei and the kids and exiled them. That was the way to ensure their safety. Him doing nothing gets them killed, which is against what he wanted. Like, he's an idiot in that he works against his own goals. It's not that he, like, doesn't. It's not like that he shouldn't have, these things like, oh, he shouldn't have trusted Cersei. He shouldn't have been so merciful. No, he should have had consistent goals. He doesn't have consistent goals. Like, you can't win. You can't achieve what you want if, like, what you want is constantly shifting. Like, what did you want? Did you want mercy? Then have mercy. Don't sit around waiting for Robert to come back to kill them, which is against what you wanted. So had he rounded up Cersei and the kids and exiled them, he would have been fine. Everything would have been fine. I mean, also had just had better communication with Robert from the beginning. Better communication with Robert. Like, why are you being so secretive about all of this stuff? You know, go down there, talk to him about the book and John Aaron and all this stuff and the letter that Lysa sent. Open up about it. Talk to your boy. Talk to your boy. There were, you know, there's all these secrets that was a problem. You know, when Robert says like, "Hey, I'm gonna go like hunting in the fucking Kingswood," you know, like just say no, dude. I really need to talk to you about something. This is important, bro to bro. Do not go on a long hunting trip. Not now, man. But these guys don't know how to talk to each other because, you know, if Balon went Red Kraken, he'd live forever. Now, Dalton, he trying to think all of the things he does here. Cuz he takes over Fair Isle. But then he's just killed by one of his salt wives. But he does like, yeah, he does just attack everybody, right? Let me go through here. He shows the blacks of the greens. He attacked the Westerlands. They burned the Lannister fleet, sacked Lannisport, carried off the gold, got lots of salt wives, nearly captured Case, took Faircastle, Fair Isle. And then for like 2 years, he just like was reaving and having a good time. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I think that Balon is just in a better position had he taken a piece of the Westerlands and been able and asked for it to give it back, or he talked to Tywin beforehand. Balon isn't Valyrian for brains. It's true. The thing is, people, the fandom does mock Balon for his stupidity, but I'm just surprised that Renly's stupidity is not mocked as much, you know, considering that he could have just invaded King's Landing right there. Wouldn't the Lannisters be infinitely more dangerous if Joffrey saw Tyrion as a good counsel and the only person he listened to? I don't know. This is presupposing that Tyrion has good ideas. I understand that the show makes it seem like Tyrion is like everything's great about Tyrion, and that, you know, Varys is complimenting him the whole time, being like, "You were really good at being Hand." But Tyrion does a lot of things that just suck. So yes, Tyrion's preparations for the Battle of Blackwater are good. They are good. You cannot argue with the wildfire and the chain. Okay, that's good stuff. The problem is that he does, like, Tyrion wastes his time on Shay and he wastes his time spying on Cersei and dealing with all the dealing and like spending the entire book fighting with Cersei and like talking to Varys and spying on her and things like that. When Cersei wasn't really doing much about it, like the fact that like Cersei and Tyrion are like fighting each other in a Clash of Kings is completely unnecessary. You know, there's no like when Tyrion comes in and he sends Janos Slynt to the wall, meaningless, like just no point to it. There's just no point to it. And like I say, like Tyrion makes a lot of mistakes. Keeps Littlefinger around, you know, and things like that. And it's just you know, you kind of say like, what was so great about Tyrion's like rule, except for the chain? I'll grant him the fucking chain. I'll grant him like, well, like, do I think that even Tyrion's deal with Dorne is very good? And the answer is no. You know, like Dorne is already aligned with the Lannisters, and he essentially gives them Myrcella for nothing. Like the Lannisters, I mean, the Dornish still don't give their forces. It's a really dumb move. Like, yeah, Tyrion's a little clever in that he wants to do like a bait and switch with on the ship and stuff like that. But like selling Myrcella to Dorne was didn't they didn't achieve anything from it. And instead, like you've now like pissed off your sister, and now you're spending the entire book like fighting your sister. Like Tyrion wasn't really that great. He was good in a like a military battle prep sense. But anything else? Like anything else? You know, did he was there any peace and negotiation or anything? I mean, I think he tried to what was the thing? He sent that murderer with Cleo's Frey back. That you know what I'm talking about? The murderer, oh god, there's 4 of them. It's so really weird. Like his peace negotiations with Robb Stark were dreadful, and they took fucking forever. Like I don't, you know, he makes a lot of mistakes. I don't think infinitely more dangerous. I'm not. Hold on. You know, I don't particularly think Tyrion was a very good counselor, considering that like who are the biggest threats in King's Landing? Littlefinger, Varys, and he spends the entire time worrying about his sister. He fails to get any peace agreement with Robb. He gives away Myrcella and gets nothing from Dorne. Doesn't do any actions with regards to the Vale. Nothing with regards to the Iron Islands. Like he's all the things that he should be doing, he doesn't do. I mean, except for the chain and the wildfire. I'm so confused with Littlefinger's long-term plan. I think everybody is. No one really knows. Nobody knows what Littlefinger's up to. Not even Varys. With the death of Lyanna, and since both their parents, for some weird reason, are the only child in each family, shouldn't taking the black be the last thing Benjen should do? He knows that does he know that Cat is going to have 5 kids in the future? Yeah, I mean, the idea of like heir in the spare kind of thing. Yeah, no, Benjen taking the black, like anything could have happened there, right? Like say like Ned and Kat get a cold. I mean, at the end of the war, Rob is already born. So but children die in infancy all the time. That's so. The other thing, and it gets worse. I mean, this is like why John taking the black also makes no sense once the Storm of Swords happens, because all of a sudden like Ned's Dream of Spring plan comes in, and there's all these like castles, and you're like, oh, he actually wanted to bring wildlings south of the wall and settle them in the Gift, and they would rule as lords, and it's there's no reason anyone would take the black at that point, when there's all this really incredible opportunity to be the lord of a castle, in the north. Benjen, I mean, he could have easily been married off to somebody as well. I think that, I guess Benjen just that's what he just really loved it, man. Just really loved ranging or something. Um, I mean, it may be that Benjen really thought he was going to be Lord Commander and thought that that was a pretty cool opportunity. I think that's probably like the thing. But I'd have to look at like, when does Mormont? So George Mormont takes the black before Robert's Rebellion. And we know that, Benjen is taking the black around the time of Robert's Rebellion. Gior at the time would be like 40. And so, I mean, if Benjen really believes like I'm going to be Lord Commander, and that's a pretty cool position, I'd rather have that than children and boning and all the other things. He wants that power. That Benjen's just some true believer. But I mean, you are right that there's not that many people in line for Winterfell. Like, there's not that many people. So I mean, like, he does have an heir. Like Ned's alive and Ned is an heir. I guess he's thinking, okay, that's two people that would have to die before I would take it. But if he's pretty confident he's going to be Lord Commander if he joins, maybe that's it. But it's a lot to giving up. That's my only explanation, is that, he really, with the birth of Rob, he was convinced that the chances of both his brother and the son dying was too great, and that if he joined, he would rise to Lord Commander, which was probable. I mean, it was in the original outline, that was his thinking. Joffrey's winning move is don't send dagger on. Don't send the cat's paw dagger. Don't send the cat's paw guy. But you got to remember, from his position, how is he going to get Daddy to love him? How is he going to get Daddy to love him if he doesn't send the dagger guy? Though Joffrey was on his way. I think Joffrey was well on his way to Robert really liking him, because Joffrey is a pretty good swordsman. They're like, he's sparring with Rob, so they're pretty good. If he practiced some more, he's got Jamie's genes, so he could become a really good knight. And then Robert starts seeing him like win in tourneys and stuff. Robert would really start loving him. So Joffrey sending the cat's paw is yeah, that was not the way to Robert's heart. But he was already doing Joffrey was already doing things that were gonna bring around bring Robert to love him. He'd be like, oh man, my son. He won a tourney, he won a joust, he won a tilt, he won a melee, you know? I've always wondered why Davos went to Storm's End. Was he just a nice guy seeking to prevent starvation, or did he have history there? There's no good explanation there. Like the only thing is like, okay, somehow he really thought that. Well, somehow he thought that he would get something out of it, or maybe he just had all sympathy for all these starving people and he thought about how bad it was that these people would starve. But there's no good explanation to it. I mean, he is a he I mean, did it happen? That's the thing. Did it happen after the trident is the question. When did Davos. Got to get the exact timing here. Because at some point. Okay, so I guess the idea is that he must have gotten news that the trident had happened. And so he figured that the Targaryens were going to lose. And so it's time to side with who he perceives as the winners of the war, who are going to be winning the war. It's just a matter of time at this point because the trident has happened. And so in order to get on people's good side, he smuggles in knowing that he's going to be rewarded for this action because he's already heard about the trident. That's the only way I can kind of see it happening. But that's only if the smuggling happened after the trident, right? Because there's no reason you do this. There's no reason you do this before the trident, because it doesn't necessarily look like they're going to win. It looks pretty bleak. I don't know, like really, like how long would one ship of like how many people are at Storm's End? Like, um, how long would holds filled with salt fish and onions really um, keep them alive? They're all, it's got to be long enough. It's got to be late enough in the war that they're already starving, and then that it gets to the point where they're not starving again or something. Um, so I mean, I think that's it. That's the only explanation I can come up with, that it happened late in the war, after the trident. And Davos put the calculation that he that these guys were gonna win the war eventually, and so I better get in with the winners, and I'll be rewarded for it. I recently saw Excalibur 1981, and I feel like it inspired A Song of Ice and Fire, not just the legend, but the film itself. Thoughts? You know, it's been a long time since I've seen Excalibur. I have seen it, but it's been a long, long time. Um, but I want to say, that George has mentioned that film at some point. Um, Let me see here. I'm sorry that it's been so long since I've seen that movie because, huh, does not mention Excalibur. And I mean, George is a huge fan of these old movies, and it's such a cheesy, crazy movie from what I remember of it. With all their little shiny, shiny armor. But yeah, I mean, you know, from what we can tell, I know he obviously watched the movie. What's the dragon movie with Tyrion? Is that Valyrian or not? Dragon Slayer. I'm trying to think of the dragon movie with Tyrion. It's like or Valyrian or dragon movie in the early '80s. I mean, keep in mind that like every yeah, it is Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer 1981. You got to remember, like back then. See, I still remember when I was a kid. Like, there weren't that many movies, and there weren't that many movies in different genres, and so you end up like seeing these movies that are kind of crappy, um, and they end up having like big big impacts. Um, yeah, Dragon Slayer 1981, and it stars to appease Vermithrax, King Gisor. He's terrorized by Vermithrax, the dragon. You're like, oh, that doesn't sound like Vermithor at all, you know? Like, and then the character is named Tyrion. Um, that's the same year, but I'm sure George was watching all of these because you just watch them. There's not that many fantasy or sci-fi movies. You just see them all. Um, but you know, we kind of know that. Well, I mean, we know that at least Ivanhoe. Um, and keep in mind, George played Dungeons and Dragons enough so that he makes the Morning Star flail mistake because that was in Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. So I whether even on I mean, Excalibur 1981 was so big that of course it had to have inspired his idea about medieval um, fantasy stuff. It had to. I mean, everybody was looking to that movie. Um, what is the main goal of Jon, Dany, and Tyrion? I mean, Jon wants to get all the humans south of the wall so they can better defend against the coming of the others. I mean, that's pretty clearly Jon's focus. Dany, she just wants a house with a red door. It's hard to. I mean, when we last talked to her, she wants to learn how to rule so that she can eventually rule justly and be a better queen when she comes to Westeros. The thing is, she also wants to end slavery everywhere, so she kind of has mission creep in what she wants. Jon only cares about one thing, is that's protecting people and stopping the others. So like Jon has a pretty clear goal. Tyrion, it's even worse. Like we don't know what Tyrion wants. Tyrion wants Casterly Rock, but he also wants respect, and he wants power, and he wants sex. Um, he wants to kill his family. So he wants vengeance on his family and respect and Casterly Rock and sex and power. It's nebulous exactly what Tyrion wants. It changes day to day based on who pisses him off and where his dick is looking, right? So like it works with him in this respect. Like at this point in the story, like Tyrion just wants to kill Cersei, but he probably doesn't want to kill Cersei really. But that's what he wants right now. So like him teaming up with Dany makes sense that he wants like power and revenge and respect and Casterly Rock. That all works together on what Tyrion. But it's very likely to change. Jon's goal is probably not going to change, except in uh, except in if the others are stopped, then maybe he can think about other things. But Jon just wants to protect the wildlings and human beings from the others. That's it's pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry. Dany, who knows, what she really wants is this warm sense of home, but she also wants to end slavery. So um, the problem with the Green Fork is the sense of space. It's too condensed. It'd be like 1,000 yards for the Vans to engage, despite being less realistic overall. Tolkien was, in my opinion, was really good at that stuff. Yeah, I mean, the it's funny having done like the Tyrion chapter and then doing the Catelyn chapter right after, because it's like I really do like the Green Fork. Like I think it's beautifully written and it's exciting, and then you read the Catelyn chapter right after, and you're like, wow, this was done twice as well with half the text. Like it's amazing. Like to me, comparing those two chapters, how George by by thinking about the battle a little bit and by making things a little more ambiguous. That's the other thing is like George I think over explains with the Green Fork, and he explains it so much you start poking holes in it. You're like, well, wait a minute, like they're only a mile away. Like why did George even say a mile away? Had he just said that they're north of here, you didn't need to say how far they were. Now that you've said 1 mile, we're all sitting there going, 1 mile? 1 mile is nothing. That's stupid. And he starts talking about where the van is. Like I was really confused in that why is the van on the left side of the Green Fork? Like wouldn't the van be in the center, or are there three vans? Are you talking about like a van to the left, a van to the center, and a van to the right? Why are people sprinting down and forming up into shield walls, coming over, like coming down hills, over hills. Had he just not mentioned the hills, everything would have been better, you know? Like George almost over explains it. He over explains it to the point where just like nothing makes sense. And you kind of get the realization that he doesn't know what he's talking about. George gets better as the series goes because I think he starts doing more research. But the Green Fork, like if you're talking about a subject you don't really know that much about, be vague. Like be vague. Don't be so detailed about it. He starts talking about all these. He wants to create as much atmosphere as possible for that battle. So he starts talking about archers and people on people a horse and people with shield walls and people and footmen and people with battle axes, and it's just it's it's nonsense. It's nonsense. He's trying to like create like a realistic battle. Is more boring because it's like I'm around a bunch of people that are armed exactly like me. Like I have a spear. The guy next to me has a spear. The guy next to me has a spear. And we're fighting against other people with spears. Like it's a more realistic battle, but instead it's like one guy's got two battle axes and one guy's got a pike and one guy's got a sword and then there's an archer. Why are you all in the same place? But you know, he wants all that variance in you know in writing and and you know he wants it to sound exciting and he wants different stuff all around him and stuff like that. So but I think he just does the Catalan chapter so much better because he explains less. It's half as long. It's twice as beautiful. It's just it's done so much better, and it's right after. You know, Whispering Wood is so yeah. I mean, I think at the time of writing, it wasn't George's strength. I think George gets much better with battles. Like he starts doing a lot more research later on. But um, yeah, this it's like a pitched battle, but at the same time, it's a surprise battle. Like which is it? Which is it? It's weird. It's weird. Um, mm. Ned's arc in a Game of Thrones is losing faith in men's ability to choose their own kings. It's why he supports Stannis, even though it goes against the other's goals. Hmm. Well, I mean, it's not that I mean, you know, obviously people can read stuff and and find what it means to you. It's not what I would see Ned's arc as. Um, so you'd have to expand on it to convince me. But like, I find Ned's arc is very much focused on Robert. It's mostly about Robert, but it's about like Robert's character and whether Robert himself was the man that Ned thought he was. And in the end, Robert is the man Ned thought he was. That Ned has all of this doubt about who Robert is, and then Robert on his deathbed um, redeems himself to Ned. I'm not saying a lot of people. It's very easy to convince me that Robert is a piece of shit, but like to Ned, he redeems himself. So like Ned's arc is I thought this guy, I thought Robert was great, but now I've got all these doubts. I've got all these doubts who Robert is. And then in the end, no, Robert actually was pretty cool. Um, and so him choosing Stannis, I mean, it was just like Stannis is the next in line, and it was very simple, a simple thing to Ned. Um, I don't necessarily think even that like. Stannis supporting Stannis goes against his other goals. Um, I mean, Ned's goals are having mercy for children, trying not to kill children, um, supporting his friend Robert, protecting his family, and protecting Kat and Sansa and Arya, and in an abstract sense, justice, things like that. But I don't know if he ever. I don't know if you'd have to convince me that Ned loses his faith in the system. Like at no point is he ever like, yeah, maybe Robert shouldn't be king, like or that. Um, and Stannis, like, that's the thing is like no one thinks Stannis is going to be a good king, like nobody, but like Ned chooses him because he's next in line. It's just I don't. It's like it's just so unquestioning for Ned. Um, Love you, Preston. Thank you, thank you. Jeez. Um, oh, who is Key based off of? Did you go to the Creelands? I mean, we're talking about my book, Dreams of Ghosts and Indians. I mean, obviously, most of Key is based on me. She is, she is, most of the stories that happen to her and everything of that are things that happened to me. So Key is mostly me. But there's another character. I have a friend from years ago who I knew in Egypt, and she was a Cree First Nations um, uh, person, and when discussing the idea, I kind of came up with this idea with her, and she was like, what's really interesting about um, portrayal of American Indians and First Nation in media is it always is in still like it's always in relations to white people. Like even when you have a movie like Dances with Wolves, it's about the white person experiencing the American Indian culture. Or even if you take something like Smoke Signals, much of it is about the American Indian being in this world of white people and how weird that is. It's not all of that movie, but like a lot of it is, like they, when they do their bus trip across the country, like they're American Indians in this world of white people. So it's always like the contrast of white people to American Indians. Um, and she's like, what would be funny is if there were a story where it's an American Indian doing something outside of the context of white people. And so her idea at the time was, what if you had a story of an American Indian arriving in Egypt and just having an adventure in Egypt, and there's no white people in the story at all? Wouldn't that be interesting? Like that's never been done. And it's kind of true, right? And there's probably a lot of reasons for this. I mean, people think about the audience. Your audience is mostly white, and you're always looking for that fish out of water and the person to explain these things to the, you need the person to explain things to the viewer. Like, when Kevin Costner is sitting there, like learning and experiencing, the Lakota, like you are too. So you're paralleled with him, and like when he is asking a question like, what does this practice mean, like that can be the exposition can happen. So but that's kind of how it started. Like shouldn't there be a situation where there be this American Indian being experienced outside of the context of white people. But also, like, in the end, I realized, I don't know enough about American Indians, nor do I even know enough about Egypt to possibly write a book about an American Indian arriving in Egypt and having adventures at a particular time. Like, say I chose the American Indian arriving in Egypt in 1900 or something, or even if you chose it pre-Columbus, like, I know nothing about like what American Indian tribe would be like. So in the end, Dreams of Ghosts and Indians kind of became that statement, like, well, it happens in an alternate world because in truth, I don't have enough knowledge about American Indian culture to comment on it. And so any mistake I make, I can just be like, well, that's because it's in this alternate universe, like, and so, that's kind of the situation of like where Key came from. And so, I mean, there is a friend. I mean, she's thanked in the foreword of the book. And it was her idea, and she's, the woman Cree, but at the same time, it's mostly me. I mean, none of those things that happened to Key happened to my friend. So it's they just kind of happened to, but she was also like, she's a very strong woman, very outspoken, very funny. So, that's kind of where it came from, but yeah, it's like, how can a white male like write a character of a different culture that he doesn't really understand, understand that well? You either do a massive amount of research or you do something else, So have I ever been to the Creelands? No. I mean, I've been, area where I've never been to any area with like where Cree live. I mean, I've been to Canada and things like that, but I've never been to like an area where it's largely Cree dominated. I just knew her. So. Mm, 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 mm. If you're reading this, you're woke. Don't kill Marbrand. I don't have any plan to kill Marbrand anytime soon. We'll see what happens. Hello. How goes it?
How dare you write about all of this and not know and not do your research? Not you get on George's case and you didn't do the same. How dare you?
Well, see, honestly, it's in a fantasy book, so he doesn't have to, right? It's the same
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
you know. You could be
Mm-hmm.
like, well, maybe in this fantasy world, people don't know shit about like picked battles, and they're all bad generals. It's perfectly fine. It's fine.
It's funny you bring up like the white guy and we see the world through his eyes because that
Hmm.
was a huge argument on social media about Tom Cruise in
Hmm.
The Last Samurai. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
crazy how people don't seem to understand that Tom Cruise is not the last samurai. It is
yeah,
Katsumoto and his clan. Like people don't really understand that he's
yeah.
just so, and what's funny is like Tom Cruise's character getting into like all this culture and whatnot is kind of what saves him. At the start of the movie, he's an alcoholic, he's suicidal, and then he gets to touch with this
Yeah.
other culture, and he just becomes a different person, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not that I don't understand the problems of like white savior and all of that, but at the same time, like, if you don't put that character in, most of your audience isn't connecting, and this is why, like, people do need to recognize that, like, you want representation on screen because people are racist when they watch, and they connect with the characters that are like themselves. And for that same reason, this is why there's diversity in movies today, because you want to bring in the black audience, want to bring in the Hispanic audience, want to bring in the Asian audience, so you put in a character that someone can relate to. That's the whole point, right? Like you want somebody that the audience can connect with. So just like have it be that. Um, so yeah, no, I mean I get it. It's but at the same time, like you're telling a story and you're marketing it to a bunch of white people. You're gonna throw in a white person so that like people have someone to connect to. You know. Also, it's Tom fucking Cruise, and everybody wants to fucking watch Tom Cruise.
Exactly. My buddy is still my buddy is this black kid. He's still upset with Game of Thrones for thinking the best way to bring in black people to watch Game of Thrones is by doing that rap music video thing. Do you remember that for like season 3 and 4?
Oh no.
You don't remember that? Oh my
Oh,
god. I'm surprised everyone kind of forgot about that. But yes, it was like Rap the Throne or something like that. It was so, and I remember it specifically because I made a video on it calling it out like, this is
yeah.
stupid, guys, like why do we need this? Do we, who are we trying to cater to? It's quite
Yeah.
clearly who they're trying to cater to. It was so silly, so silly.
But I mean, even with what's funny is even the movie Great Wall, which bombed in America, but it did pretty well in China because it had Matt Damon in it. Because they like even they saw him as a movie star that they'd wanted to go see. Like for I'm talking about like the people just want to go see Tom Cruise. People just wanted to go see Matt Damon, so they went to see the movie because Matt Damon was in it. That even if you're trying to market it to an Asian audience, like you still want a movie star, and so like these people are like globally recognized. So I mean, it's like you got to understand, like they're trying to make money. This is what they're going to do. So I don't criticize it either way. Like if people put in their representation because that's what the audience they want. So I'm not going to complain about Tom Cruise being in that movie, but I'm also not going to complain about Black Valarians. Like this is capitalism, okay? This is what's all it is. They're trying to maximize their
Mm,
profits by including people of all
yeah.
types. That's it. Um, so that's all it is to it. Yeah. So what's been going on? You're upset that the Hot D trailer is not out.
It's gonna be out tomorrow. I'm gonna stream, and you're gonna join me. I'm assuming.
I'll try. I'll try.
I got someone into a friend of mine. I got them into Battlestar Galactica, and we watched the miniseries together, and then we watched
The
the first
miniseries is
episode together.
great.
The
Yeah.
series is great. Watched the first episode together, and after the first episode was done, they turned to me and they go, "Is a third of the show just Baltar having the hallucinations with the hot blonde?" And then it fucking suddenly clicked. Like, yeah, I guess it is. And for those of you who don't remember, let me remind you, okay? It's literally this. This is literally like a third of the entire show. Oh my god, they're going to figure out that I betrayed them. Don't worry, Gaius. It's all in God's plan. Now come over here and fuck me. Okay, fine, but just this one time. And then someone walks in. Dr. Baltar, why are you humping that vending machine? It's a Cylon trap and I'm trying to defuse it. Oh my god, you're a genius. That's literally a third of the show. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I'm trying to remember.
That's literally a third of the show. Don't
Right, but
even.
yeah, was she like in his head for that much of it? Maybe I blocked that part out.
Yes. Except for that one time where she was like trying to try trying to like fuck him over because he dared question God. But
And
yeah.
there's the
Oh, I'm
real
sorry.
one. I
I'm
mean, he
sorry.
runs into the real one as well, where he gives the nuclear weapon to her. That's like the worst.
Right, right. Wait, hold on. Don't say anything because you're gonna fucking blow your
Oh
earlodes.
yeah.
But hold on. It's everything I just told you. It's that with this over it. Sorry.
So your girl, she has like a podcast now where they just like reminisce about Battlestar.
Which one? Ava Green?
No, no, the woman you love, man.
Sydney Sweeney? Like who are you talking about?
You know who you really love.
Tom Cruise, like I know
Katie,
you're talking about Katie
Katie,
Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff. Katie Sackhoff has a podcast now where her and ex Battlestar people just sit there and talk about the show.
Mm. I watched her interview with the hot blonde who plays Six. Apparently, they fried that woman's hair. They had to
Oh
give her a
yeah.
wig.
Because
They
to make
fried
it
her
that
hair so
blonde,
badly.
yeah.
Mm. Hey, real quick, I'm sorry. I feel apologies to Kyle. And he's right, by the way. If you do read this, you're woken.
I
And don't
mean,
kill
with the
Marbrand.
thing is, Marbrand is sticking around. He's currently looking for Jamie in the fanfic. He's currently looking for Jamie, and I have some good plans on what I want to do with the Riverlands. I mean, so it's he's I don't think he's not going to die anytime soon. So
What was the plan? Did that ever get revealed? I totally even forgot about it because I just checked out a good chunk of the time. I didn't mind the final season, but it's like, okay, let's just
oh, the
wrap it up.
plan. I don't know if I ever watched the plan because I heard like the plan was kind of like a lot of clips, kind of like a clip show.
Oh
If you're talking
God.
about the plan Battlestar Galactica, not our plan for the fanfic. We're talking about there was a thing in Battlestar Galactica called the plan.
Well, what was their plan? Like just to wipe out humans and that's it? Because
I think they go in like why they create the final, like why they have the final five
oh my
and
God, the final five. Fuck.
I think it is about like their infiltrate. Like I think also there's a complete. It's been so long, but I think there's this idea that the plan didn't the plan didn't really explain the plan. It just kind of showed a bunch of events and said like, how is this a plan? Okay, like
I'm gonna say something that's gonna upset you. Maybe we'll see.
okay.
I think the final five is possibly the worst thing I think I've seen. The worst plot in any TV show I've seen. Even worse than all the stuff in Game of Thrones season 8. I would argue it. The final five was the dumbest thing they could have done. I fucking hated that, and I also hated how we have a whole Battlestar podcast. Sorry to the audience, I'm boring you guys,
Yeah.
but them showing that inside the Cylon base ships is just like a sexy nightclub is the worst thing they could have done because that's what it is. I
Yeah,
showed you the
yeah. No,
screenshot.
I think the final five is really stupid. At the time, people were pretty hyped. They hyped it up, and everyone's like, "What is this music that's playing? Oh my god, what does this mean? How is this possible when they're gonna explain like it because like Ty was like in the war, like how could he be a Cylon and all this stuff? They're gonna explain this. No, I think the biggest problem was is they wasted so much time on the infighting in the last season when you're just like we gotta resolve stuff with the Cylons, and instead like so many episodes are dealing with like the insurrection, and you're just like how are they killing time? We have no time left. But you're right, yeah, the whole
Yes, Stormborn Dragon. I promise you, if you go back and you watch Galactica, the worst part of the show was the final five because it's just not even set up right. Like
mm,
I understand people bitch about like the Jon Snow, like him being Rhaegar's son. Did it really matter in the end? But neither did the final five. Not really. It was
no,
too
Final Five didn't matter at
stupid.
all.
It's convolutedly dumb.
I
No.
mean, even George R. R. Martin trashes the show, trashes
Oh,
Battlestar. If you remember,
I remember that.
you've
Yeah,
read the Not a blog about it. Yeah,
I have.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
fucking funny.
completely
Little
agree
did he
with
know.
him. Like, oh, God did it in the end, and he's just like, oh my God, this is the worst. This is like writing 101. You don't do that ending. Are the Lannisters first men or Andals? Well, I will say that when a Game of Thrones began, the Lannisters were specifically said by George to be Andals, and then as time went on, they got retconned into first men. So that's your answer. Originally Andal, retconned into first men. George had specifically made a statement saying that like you can look at the people's names, their last names, and figure out if they're first men or Andal based on their names. Like if it's a blunt short name, Stark, Flint, Royce, like that's first men. And if it's fancier, you know, Lannister, then it's clearly Andal. And no, they just went back on that, and like now everybody's fucking first men, which goes against like the entire like it goes against the entire like setup of the whole fucking book, right? Like we open with Catelyn being this like southern girl who feels uncomfortable in the north, and the north is so weird and different because these are first men and there's werewoods and they have such different practices, and she feels so isolated and alone here. And then you're like, well, actually, they're all fucking first men, and there's werewoods fucking everywhere. And well, what the hell? Then what the hell did Catelyn feel? What was Catelyn's entire character about? Oh well, you know. So that was undone. That was undone. But a lot of stuff changes. You know, it started out as a story about class warfare, and that was quickly dropped too. But yeah, the north south divide that was established like disappears over time. Yeah, but um, but yeah, Lannisters first men, retcon to be first men. What do you think a Game of Thrones looks like if Rhaegar won?
I know this question annoys you sometimes because every now and then people keep commenting on that one video we did years ago where you were like, Rhaegar's a eugenicist. He's kind of a Nazi. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Well, it's true.
And then
Uh,
it also extra annoys you because didn't George say the story of Game of Thrones is the story of where the good guy died before it began?
so it turns out that's a false quote, that George never said that.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody loves throwing
I
that
know
quote
everybody
around.
loves quoting it. Turns out it didn't happen. Yeah. Um the if Rhaegar won. Okay, Rhaegar wins if the Trident kills Robert. Okay. Kills, I imagine he kills Ned at this point too, or whatever. Um or Ned dies in battle. Okay. So what happens after that? Well, they all surrender. Um, Targaryens, whatever, take over, and then the question is, what happens to Lyanna and happens to Jon? And then, I mean, do the Dornish just go in and fight at this point? Are the Dornish just really upset about the paramour? Or do they even care about the paramour? They're like, fine, you can have a paramour, but he's a bastard. He's not gonna. And then what? Rhaegar. If Rhaegar wins at the Trident, I guess he's supposed to call a great council and then usurp his dad. And then Rhaegar becomes king. And then if he does something stupid, like tries to legitimize his child with Lyanna, then you're talking like problems. But I guess that's it. I mean, does he try to do something stupid like hatch dragon eggs? And you know, was the Tower of Joy filled with dragon eggs that he was going to start on fire? You know,
I've never heard that. Did you just make that up?
no. So this
You
is this
fucking
idea
serious?
that okay, I know it sounds silly, right? But okay, let's take a step back. Aerys thought that, at least according to Jamie, thought that he was going to be reborn as a dragon if he started King's Landing on fire, right? Aryan Brightflame thought he was going to transform into a dragon if he drank wildfire, right? Egg thought he could hatch dragons with wildfire at Summerhall, right? Aerys won. He thought about hatching dragons too, right? Um, we have a long list of Targaryens who thought that they could hatch dragons based on prophecy, whatever, insanity. So, Rhaegar, would you admit is a prophecy obsessed nut job? Carmine.
Isn't technically everyone a prophecy obsessed nut job?
Okay. But like Aemon said that like he was super into prophecy and the prince that was promised and all of that, right? So do you think that Rhaegar is a type of person who wanted to hatch dragons? Or wanted to bring
Yeah,
dragons alive?
well,
Okay.
well, unless new information that we just received in which Dunk survives Summerhall
Sure.
and cautions
So
against it, so it's
we
possible he wouldn't do that.
we take a little step because again he thinks he's the prince that was promised. We know that the prince that was promised was about hatching dragons from stone, right? Because we know that's part of the prophecy. We know from Melisandre that's part of the prophecy. So Rhaegar is obsessed with prophecy. We know this from Aemon. We know that the prophecy has to do with dragons awakening from stone, right? So great. So what? How does Lyanna? He's trying to do the dragons have three heads. Like how? What? You know? How does Lyanna play into this? He just wants a third baby. What's he going to do with those babies? Where do the eggs come from? What's happening next? Now we've got the Tower of Joy. Something weird has happened at the Tower of Joy. Enough that Ned doesn't want to talk about it. Enough that Ned wants to destroy that tower. Um, Fast forward to A Feast for Crows. We have this very interesting couple chapters where Cersei insists on burning the Tower of the Hand. And this long time like spent dealing with this like burning of the Tower of the Hand. Like why so much focus on this burning tower? You know. So then you could say, well, maybe was there something with the Tower of Joy and hatching dragons and burning and things like that, you know, from this guy. I'm not saying that's like there's much evidence of it, but it does kind of like fit thematically in what we know about these characters, you know. So that's it. That maybe people were trying to hatch dragons at the Tower of Joy. Maybe there was
You,
wildfire there. We don't
you would
know.
think that there were like Rhaegar would have caution with this because like Westeros at large knows that something crazy happened at Summerhall, and he would be like super cautious about it. But I guess he probably thinks he's the exception.
Right. I mean, he was obsessed with Summerhall too. He went there all the time, right? So he was like thinking about the wildfire, the like what was going on, what went wrong, you know. So, I mean, one could argue that it had nothing to do with the Tower of Joy and like hatching eggs. That was going to be something down the road for Rhaegar. You know, you could make that argument, but it was definitely something that he was going to try to do at some point. Um, because he thought he was the prince that was promised, and that's awakens dragons from stone. Um, so yeah, it's disaster no matter what. He's gonna burn himself up or have the Dornish get pissed off and start war or something. But Ned should have told Robert the truth before he died. Uh, I mean, at that point, it's just like I don't know. I mean, he was dying. There's not much you could do. Um, why put him through the pain? Hey, Robert, you're getting cucked your whole life, and your kids aren't your own. Like that's just mean. That's just mean to somebody. I mean, why would you want to torture that guy? If you're gonna be if you're gonna talk to Robert, like do it before he's fucking dying. Like talk to him early. But on his deathbed, doesn't matter. Like who cares? Who cares? Um, Black Mirror season 7 episode 2 based on unsound variations chessboard motif in Empress of Universe painting. I mean, I don't watch Black Mirror. I tend to I'm not huge into the type of sci-fi that Black Mirror is. Um,
But you don't like the Twilight Zone.
Uh, I'm not a huge fan of Twilight Zone, actually. Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, it's coming back to me. You did a whole rant on it. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I just I find them I find they tend to be repetitive. Um, you know, like especially Black Mirror is like, oh no, technology, you've created a living hell. Like your personality was downloaded into a computer and now you're in hell forever. Wah, wah, wah. Like that's every Black Mirror episode, right? Like it's just
I want to say you're wrong, but there's one where like Meth Damon, the kid who plays Todd from Breaking Bad, he has like this whole like game thing, and he
mm,
scans like his crush's brain, and like he like puts a version of her in the game that he gets to be Captain Kirk of, and like yeah,
yeah,
that is true. Mm.
yeah. Like you just kind of know what's gonna happen. Like you know someone's gonna, have their consciousness go through a living hell. It's just every time. I'm trying to see what this one's about. Empress of the Universe crown. Um, let's see. Empress of the Universe refers to the final delusional state of the protagonist after she gains control of reality, bending quantum computing. Maria is haunted by Verity, a childhood bully who has become a brilliant programmer. Well, that's very similar um, to Unsound Variations. Using a quantum computer, Verity manipulates reality, turning Maria's life into a nightmare to drive her to suicide. That's pretty much the plot of Unsound Variations. You're right. After being pushed to her breaking point, Maria kills Verity in a confrontation. Maria then takes the pendant. Instead of fixing the damage, Maria uses the pendant to alter reality to her own benefit. The episode concludes with Maria establishing herself as the Empress of the Universe in a rewritten reality where she is in total control. Oh, okay. I mean, the ending is very different, but um, it's a similar kind of idea of like this millionaire going back and wanting revenge for somebody slighting them. But
Wait. What about the episode, the Twilight Zone episode, where the whole episode, the woman went through plastic surgery, and like the doctors are trying to fix her face,
and
and they're
she
like,
ends
"Don't
up
worry."
normal looking, and it turns out she's ugly. Yeah,
Yeah, that one was cool.
that's fine. Whatever.
Right?
The thing is also like I think also my this is like getting into um the George like which George R. R. Martin stories like I don't like are the ones that are based on just like one small idea where you're just like okay, but like where are you going with that? Like yeah, beauty's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I remember, yes. Okay, someone that looks like us would be like hideously ugly in a world where people had pig noses. Okay. Like did you need a whole episode to that? It's like a very simple idea. And so I'm just like, meh. Like, where's the exploration? I mean, I kind of find like not that like when it's just like one thing like that, where it's like a very simple idea, where you're just like, well, there wasn't that much. Granted, it was a short show, whatever, 25 minutes or whatever. But it's like when I was talking to Trey about one of my least favorite stories. It's called FTA that George wrote, where it's just they invent hyperspace and the guy's like, why isn't anyone telling me about hyperspace? Like, in hyperspace, the laws of the speed of light like don't apply, and they're like, right, no, and then in the end they're like, oh no, we discovered it, but it turns out in hyperspace it's you travel slower than the speed of light, and it's just like wah, wah, wah. Like it's like one very simple idea, and like that's it. So I don't, the pig episode, the pig nose episode, it's just like it's such an obvious ending, and I think people remember it mainly because of the makeup. But I don't know. I don't think it was that big, that great. Like, um, I like the Twilight Zone episode about the little kid who's omnipotent. I think it's unrealistic about how children act, but I think the political statement is very apt. How like no, like everyone knows they should all just team up and like kill this like omnipotent kid, and yet they continue to just give in and give in and give in, and like I think it's a very good episode, even though it doesn't, like, no kid would, like, it would never happen in real life. Like even if you had an omnipotent kid, like children have tantrums over nothing, so you'd all be dead anyway, so it's there's no use in placating them. Like it's but I like that episode of Twilight Zone. Most episodes of Twilight Zone I do not like, and I've seen a lot of them, don't get me wrong. I had a child,
You
like,
don't like it, but you see a lot of them.
well, when I was young there wasn't that much on TV. Like you ended up watching them. um so I mean, what I enjoy is when things really do represent like humanity, and you discover something about humanity, and there's a statement being made about humanity. So like there's that episode of the one that gave me nightmares when I was a child was the one where this father decides to like uh it's called Masks, and he decides to mutilate his children because he thinks they're like evil. And you're just like, what? Why would anyone mutilate their children? um he has them all wear these masks, and then their faces become monstrous looking, and that's like the end, because his kids suck. um but it's just like, why would a human being mutilate their children? Like it's just like the very premise of it is just weird. Like, so there's ones I didn't like. So um how would Robert's Rebellion differ if she were called Dog Tully instead of Cat Tully? I don't think it would change much at all. I mean, do you think Littlefinger would not like her as much? Um, if she were called Dog Tully instead of Cat Tully? I mean, nothing changes with Ned. He's got to marry Brandon's
What the
betrothed no
fuck?
matter what.
What the fuck question is this? What the
I
fuck?
know. um,
So would her name be like Doglin? Like
I don't know if it's Dogland for long. I think it might affect how Littlefinger likes her. He's just like, oh, do I really like Dog Catully? Maybe because he's motivated by lust. Like I'm trying to think of like who would it affect. Um, Now that you've gone through it, any advice on writing a novel? I mean, my advice is, yeah. So big thing, like motivation is the big issue. So writing a novel is a lot like running a marathon, and like running, the great way to be motivated is to do it with other people. So you if you can join a writing group where you promise them like, oh, I will have a chapter for you next week, I will have a chapter for you next week, and then every week you have to show up and like read one of your chapters, that will motivate you to like finish. On doing it on your own and sitting down and just like writing, you just delay. So you're either the type of person that can sit down and write, or you need to have those little things. You need something in your life to motivate you to get out that chapter and get it done and get it out. So I'd say like join a writing club. And there's like the November novel writing challenge where you try to do a number of words a day and things like that. Do whatever you can to get yourself to produce the page count. That's like step one. Like it's really like you need to have that. Most people don't have the motivation to sit down and write a novel. Like just I don't. Like I had to, I it took me forever, and it required me to do all sorts of things of having deadlines and getting this out at a certain time and stuff like that. Um, you know, very few people are motivated and disciplined enough to do it. The only way to do it, I think, is if you're like most people, is to have a club, or have somebody that will demand that you have to produce it. You have to have it. I mean, apparently George R.R. Martin is not one of these people. He can't write a novel without somebody like giving him a deadline. So that's the thing: is you need to invent a system where you have to produce parts, and you have deadlines and benchmarks, and that somebody is like holding your feet to the fire. You need that. That's like number one. And that's the big thing. I mean, once you finish, then you've gotta really like go through it with other readers, with people that are editors and things like that, and just go back and forth. And the editing takes forever too, but you need other eyes. You need people to look at it. You need those other people to motivate you too. And then once you get all that, then it gets, actually publishing it and all of that. That's another beast. But step one, getting it written, you have to have those other people. Rick, honestly, you have to have those other people. I mean, I've run a bunch of marathons when I was young. Could I have done it without like a friend like doing those runs with me and like choosing to run it with me? Like, no, you need another person. You need another person. If you think you can just sit down and write, no, that's not how humanity works. Like you need motivation, and other people will be that motivation. That's the most important thing. Ned should have had Robert make him protector with everyone in the fucking room. Yeah, that's true. He orders everybody away for no reason. How about that? Why don't people understand DS9 is the best Trek? Most people that have seen all of the Trek understand that DS9 is the best Trek. Look, I think when it comes to like Star Trek, there's people that will claim Next Generation is the best just because of where it was and how iconic it can be and stuff like that. They love Patrick Stewart and stuff like that. And there's a lot of great episodes of Next Generation, but there's a lot of bad episodes of Next Generation. A lot of bad episodes of Next Generation. I'll tell you that like even season 1 of DS9 is pretty good. Like Carmine, you'd agree with me, right? Even season 1 of DS9 is pretty good, because season 1 of Next Generation is no good.
Yeah, it's better than season 1 of TNG. I would say that for sure. Hey, yeah. I forgot to ask you, did you watch Red Letter Media's Voyager season 1 discussion?
I did watch some of it. I watched most of it. I don't know if I watched it in completion.
It's so fucking good. I wish they would quit being assholes and do it for all of the Treks, because they were going through like best episodes of TNG. They did
season 1 DS9 and they did season 1 Voyager.
No, they also did season 1 and 2 TNG, and they just stopped. Like, these guys, talk about fucking deadlines. These guys like they're so inconsistent. I'm not a Voyager guy, but that kind of made me want to watch Voyager. I'm not gonna lie, even though they went through most of the episodes, it was kind of interesting. However,
you haven't watched Voyager. I've seen all of Voyager too.
I have not seen any of it. Well, let me ask you this then, because maybe I'm wrong in saying this. Rich Evans' entire issue with Voyager, them being stuck in a foreign galaxy with no supplies or anything like that, them losing people, not having supplies, it almost never gets brought up. But you know where it does get brought up? Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah,
Battlestar
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Galactica is a better Voyager.
In that respect, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Like he's right in that. I remember watching it, and they make this very specific mention of like, we have this many photon torpedoes and no way to get them back, and then it doesn't become an issue later. Like they're just kind of, they have this perfect, like their ship is like perfectly able to like just regenerate and go. And the only time they run into problems is when it's like the problem of the episode. Um, Voyager is frustratingly episodic for for a show that feels like it should have been an arc. That's the thing about Voyager. Like DS9 is set up to be episodic. It's just a little different than TNG. The aliens are coming to the station, but then it becomes massively arc like, you know, and that's like the beauty of Deep Space Nine. Voyager, it feels like it's set up to be an arc, and it's incredibly episodic. It's much more like TNG. But I don't know, like you're kind, all of the things that, like, it's true that Rich Evans is bringing up things that, like, I have my own problems with Voyager, and his problems were some of mine too. But like, you think that Voyager entering the Delta Quadrant with superior technology, because where they end up in the Delta Quadrant, they're like the big fish. Like people are like, "Whoa, where'd you get this like technology?" That it doesn't. There's no real arc to that. They run into the same species over and over again, but not in any like meaningful arc way. Um, you know, it's episodic, but only because they want to reuse the makeup. There's definitely parts of it that are fun, like when they make it to at the end of season 3, they make it to Borg space, and you're like, "Fuck!" Like, this is incredible. And then they just like deal with the Borg, and then they're past them, and you're like, "What?" They have some really incredible episodes. There is a really fucking incredible episode where they run into a ship. They run into another Federation ship that gets stuck, that's stuck in the Delta Quadrant. And it's a really fucking good, it's a really fun build up, you know,
Hmm.
stuff like that. There's some fun episodes. There is, but yeah, it's not Deep Space Nine in any respect. No. No, 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 no. Oh, I mean, you'll have to watch it sometime, Carmine. You're kind of stuck. You got to do it. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Um. Oh no. Drove by Charlie Kirk's hometown. There was a sign that said "honk if you want gas at $1.79 again." Trump 2024. Womp womp. It's such a weird. It's such a weird weekend. Um, I like how like, so the media like doesn't do stuff on the weekend, right? So there's not that many stories. So like this stupid the stupid gunman like thing is like a big deal when nobody cares. Like the guy wasn't even, he was nowhere close to assassinating anybody. Like no one cares. Like Americans are just going to be upset about their $4 gas. This is this is how like pathetic Americans are, really. Like, you know, all this horrible stuff. America can do horrible things. We can commit war crimes, but like the minute our gas goes from $3.50 to $4, like people are like, "Oh, that's what I care about." It cost me $20, you know. And here, so, but yeah, it's funny though. It's funny that sign would still be up. Um, how gas prices in Kansas, Carmine?
They've gone up. They've gone up a little bit. It's funny because remember when it like people in the middle during 2024 after the election were like, "Yeah, I voted for Trump because look, man, eggs went from like 150 to $2." And they're like, "Really, guy? Really? Are you
No,
fucking
this is a bunch of
serious?"
bullshit. They
Uh,
just make that shit up.
oh,
You know,
okay.
they just make up their reasons. It's really like the real reason is you know they hate black people and women. But like that's the real reason. But they get to say like, oh, I did it for the economy. That's exactly what. Do you remember when um, Roseanne came back as a series? And like Roseanne was like the character is like I just I had to vote for Trump because of the economy and like working people like us. The thing is, we all know Roseanne, and we all know that Roseanne is just a big fucking racist. Like, there's big fucking lie. They know that their beliefs are socially wrong, and so they try to dress them up as something else. The minute they think it's okay to say that shit, they do. Um, but um, thoughts on Hunter's Run, written by George R.R. Martin, co-written. Yeah, I mean, I have read Hunter's Run a long time ago, or maybe I just read Shadow Twin. I forget which one I read. I might have just read because Shadow Twin gets expanded into Hunter's Run, and I think I'm trying to remember if trying to remember if George was part of the expansion or not. I mean, obviously, he still gets author credit. But I remember reading it and not really remembering much of it. Like, I don't think it had much of an impact on me. I mean, the essentially the plot is like this guy is like getting hunted by his like clone or something. He's on track. He learns. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. He is running from a hunter who turns out to be the real Ramon, and the other's a clone. And then that's right. It also ends on like a unknown cliffhanger as well. Um, but no, nothing really stuck out. Like when I read it, and I just kind of not. I remember not being very impressed because it didn't have any sort of like gut punch. Like normally, like George R. R. Martin stories have like a gut punch of some point. And I remember like the gut punch in this is supposed to be that the person hunting him is his clone, but that's kind of given away in the title of it. I just that's the thing. I guess it's almost like the worst insult of it is that it didn't have a very like any impression at all on me because it was just like I felt it was kind of boring and didn't feel. I mean, I have to admit, like the writing, because George R. R. Martin is a big editor. The writing did seem like George, like it's written like George would write. But um, it's the same when I read Windhaven. Like you read Windhaven, it feels like George's writing, even though it's co-written by him. Windhaven feel And Windhaven, like it feels like George, except for the fact that it's much more hopeful. It's like way, way more hopeful, and you're just like George would never write something like this on his own.
Hunter's Run seems like George was throwing Daniel Abraham a bone.
Oh
Like
yeah,
this seems like Baby's first novel, and he was just like helping this kid put his name out there, and maybe a publisher didn't want to do anything unless you had like another person's name on it who was reputable. That's what it seems like here.
um, yeah. 1981, he suggested that Mike continue the story, which he did. Writing stalled in 82. Martin had handed back to Dozios. Interesting. Daniel Abraham completed the story. That's so funny that it's like taken so many years for this story to like come out. I now I understand why I think I read Shadow Twin, because it's like different iterations of it have come out until it's finally coming out in 2007. I read the Shadow Twin version, I think the one that came out 2004. Yeah, it's so funny that it takes all these writers. Um, Running a sci-fi series inspired by Song of Ice and Fire. Any tip? Hmm. That's a big question. I mean, that's yeah, I mean, in general with writing, like and I think like I'm trying to think like what makes George R. R. Martin's like writing so successful in the sci-fi fantasy genre. When like look, we're all fans of sci-fi and fantasy here. But we can all be honest that there's a lot of fucking bad sci-fi and fantasy out there. A lot of it. And we can also admit that like um amateur sci-fi fantasy might be the worst. Like like fiction around. Um and it's like, well, why is sci-fi and fantasy so susceptible to bad writing? Why are the worst B movies sci-fi movies or fantasy movies? You know, like what is it about sci-fi and fantasy that makes it so difficult to write that a lot of it becomes so poor in quality that makes and why like A Song of Ice and Fire and why George is special. And I think I once heard people often forget that sci-fi is a setting, not the plot. Or fantasy is the setting, not the plot. Like when people are really focused on okay, the these aliens, they're going to be reborn on this planet, and then they're going to go into a portal, and they're going to do this and this and this. No, 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 no. Like that's all fine, but that is secondary. The most important thing is how the characters relate to each other and the emotion between them, right? So George on a broken record will say human heart and conflict, but this is essentially it. Is that keep the story about human beings, their emotions, their interactions, um, and not on some like clever sci-fi ideas. the only successful sci-fi book that I know that's like just been like based on ideas is probably Three Body Problem. Like that's where it's just like the ideas people found intriguing that they ignored the horrible characterizations in the book. And but when you think like, why is Dune so compelling? Well, like there's really great interaction between characters in that story, you know. um it's about, that's the thing, is remember, it's about the characters, it's not about the sci-fi plot. Like make sure it's about how human beings are reacting to everything. Sci-fi is the setting, it's not the plot. Like that's the most important thing, you know. um yeah. Mm. And I think, you know, I think it's the big thing about like George is that he's always thinking about that. It's always, it always feels like people with in this crazy world, in these crazy worlds. Season 1 and 2 Deep Space Nine is not perfect, but it's still pretty damn good. Season 1, 2 live action Next Generation. It's more I could count on my hand how many good episodes. I mean, there's some really intriguing stuff. Like, I mean, having watched the Red Letter Media, I'd just be repeating a lot of the stuff they said. But it's just like like again, getting back to the last question, the characters in Deep Space Nine are just so rich. Like how much you hate that the religious leader of the Bajorans, and like how bold and crazy like Kira is, and Odo and Quark, like how, what great characters they are. Um I mean, Next Generation, no one really, I mean, no one really has a personality. Like people have these like little things like, oh, but Riker, he's a ladies' man. Is he? He's not really that much of a ladies' man. Like there's not much to him. I mean, you've got like Worf is like honor man, and like Data is like I'm logical man, but like that's about it. Like does Geordi have a personality? You know, like does Beverly Crusher have a personality? No. Does Pulaski have, like, not really. That's so different with Deep Space Nine, where just everybody's so bold and different, you know.
This is why I want Red Letter Media to keep doing these retrospects, because I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
know this, but TNG, the first two seasons had Gene Roddenberry all over it, and he wanted
Mm.
the crew to be like robots essentially in terms of personality, and that the conflict would arise not from the crew but from like outside. But then you come to DS9 where Gene Roddenberry had nothing to do with it, and it's just amazing because you do have interpersonal conflicts with the crew on
Hmm.
the station. So
Yeah. The problem with Voyager is wasted talent, had potential with a great setup, never lived up to it. It was okay, it could have been great. That's almost the thing, is that like Voyager made promises. It had this incredible premise, and they kept coming up with like really interesting aspects that they never really delved into. Like you're like, okay, we're gonna have a ship that's on the other side of the galaxy, so we could be running into aliens and monsters that are completely different. No, it's pretty much Alien of the Week like any other show. Okay. It's a show that's technologically really advanced, and we might be dealing with more primitive cultures, and that relationship might be different. That's not really ever dealt with. You know, like, okay, we're dealing with like Maquis and Voyager people like trying to interact and meld together on a ship. No, that's not really do it. And then then it starts getting bigger. Like, we've run into the fucking Borg. We're in Borg space. It's gonna be huge. No, we don't really. No. Okay, species 8472, something that makes the Borg cower. It's gonna be huge. No. Like, it's just, we're having a Borg enter the crew. It's gonna change everything. No. Like, it's just, there's so many like huge fundamental things. Voyager is going to go through something called the Year of Hell. a whole year where they're gonna like deal where it's just gonna be hell. No, no, no. Like it's just constantly they overpromise like these huge events that just, and then when they come, Year of Hell did happen. You know, it was one episode. Like, you know, the Borg was a two-parter. 8472 came back one more episode. You know, it's like they keep making these huge promises on like these incredible premises, and then they don't do anything with them. They just drop the ball over and over and over again. Um, ah well, ah well. That's true. Janeway in Paris turning into a giant slime thing. I mean, I think they become like space snakes, right? After they go past warp 10 or something strange. That was a great episode. Um, oh, here we go. This is like we're like Phil and I are like on the same page. Just watch Year of Hell. Like that should have been Year of Hell should have been a whole season. Year of Hell should have been a whole fucking season. Just like they did with the Zindi and Enterprise. Oh, photon torpedo depletion is a stupid concept. Photons are infinite, no? Not like gas prices that fluctuate. Yeah, but there might have been, you forget about the Quiblaxian crystals that need to go into the photon torpedo. I mean, come on. You know, you know that you could just make up space reason, make up sci-fi space reason for the photon torpedoes. Oh, if there's no way we can get those Quiblaxian crystals, you know. um, hello, Preston. What's the future of religion in the story and converts? Relore, drown god, old fusion. Um, it's like the appeal of the Red God to Jamie when he sees Victarion with a new hand, or Mel marrying Euron, etc. Thanks. Um, I mean, I can't really say for certain with all of the characters, but in general, if I were talking about like George R. R. Martin's beliefs and like kind of thematically what I see happening, you'd think that people would be like just over time dumping the religions. Like you'd think that it would be a situation of like, well, God needs to die because we need to make our own choices and things like that. Um, uh, versus like more and more characters being like, no, I need to follow um, some being that's like um, telling me stuff. Now, of course, I might be wrong because you're right that like Theon becomes more religious over the course of the story. Um, you know, other characters could go down that path where you know, all of a sudden, trying to think of anybody else. Maybe Davos becomes more religious as the show as the or well, he kind of becomes religious then forgets about it. But yeah, we've got Theon, we've got Davos, um, you know, we've got Lancel. I mean, if you want, but I'm trying to think anybody else that like kind of becomes more religious over time besides Theon, who hears the old gods talk to him, and Davos who hears the Faith of the Seven talk to him. I guess Victarion becomes more into the Red God, I suppose. Um, I mean, I guess you're right that some people, you know, people do get converts, but there are converts. I guess they become more crazy though, don't they? At least Theon and Vic. Davos, who knows what he's doing? It's hard to know it. Do fundamentally think that like Davos was done dirty in A Dance with Dragons, and it's like George's like worst. I think it's George's worst chapters. Is Davos. in A Dance with Dragons, which is too bad because I love the Davos character. But yeah, you would think that I would think that people would try to like getting rid of the religion, like Bran becoming more secular, burning the old gods down or something, and getting out of there, or people seeing all of the brutality of the religions and then getting deciding it's horrible. Um, but it might go another way but those characters just seem to be getting more crazy if they become more religious. Um, I mean, someone like Jamie, I don't know if I could ever see Jamie becoming religious. He does not seem like the kind of character that would ever do that. But Mel marrying Euron or fusion religions. Are there any fusion? I mean, I guess like what the Brotherhood Without Banners kind of twist things around. There's some fusion, I suppose, in the Riverlands among the small folk who like think it's all fine. Um, I don't know. I don't know if George like keep in mind like George doesn't respect religion, so it's like hard for him to portray it in a good light. So if the characters become more religious, it's gonna be characters he's kind of trashing. Um, mm, what percentage of Republicans are fine with hoping Trump is the next Hitler, forgetting how the story ended? Uh I mean, I think it's a solid like um I so I tend to say that like there's three. I've said this before. I tend to think there are three types of Republicans. There's religious freaks. There's there's selfish pricks, and there's fucking assholes. And it's like the selfish pricks don't really like they can be convinced if it's their financial interest that like that they should that Trump could be Hitler. Like if they are investing in um, uh, gas houses or whatever, like the selfish pricks would be like, yes, this is good for the economy, this is good for me. Which is where we get into these like police state people, right, or defense contractors, right? Like, let's round up more um, undocumented so I can make money with my supermax like detention center in the middle of nowhere Texas and nowhere Arizona. Like there's a lot of money to be made on holding people in prison for no reason at all. Especially considering it's like you're not allowed to, like, law wise, you're not allowed to hold them more than 6 months. So why are you even holding them? But so I mean, it's kind of like, do they sit around caring if he's Hitler? No, they're just opportunists, right? They're the grifter class. The same with the religious freaks. Like the religious freaks, like they they're told they'll do whatever their church tells them, or whatever their community tells them to do. So if the community tells them that like Trump being Hitler is great, they'll go along with it. That's the thing, is like it's the religious freaks, it's their easily exploitable piety. It's not that they're coming up with these things on their own. They're not coming up with their beliefs. They're just followers. They're followers. It's sort of like, how there were no pro-lifers before, like or not many pro-lifers before like the 70s, because it was all of a sudden decided that the religious community was that they were going to push this issue, and the religious community was going to suddenly become anti-abortion, and then everyone just like followed it because they were followers. So I don't think that there's like, I think the selfish pricks, I mean, not the selfish pricks, the fucking assholes, the last group, the fucking assholes who are just cruel fucking people. Um, yeah, they're sitting there hoping that Trump is a Hitler who's gonna kill some people, and then the others are just kind of fine with it because the others will be like, how can I make money off of this? And oh, I guess my pastor told me that this was fine. So I think it's like 1/3 of Republicans are completely fine hoping, but no, actually, I'd say 1/3 are hoping, and then the other 2/3 are pretty much fine. Like I don't know if any like the percentage of Republicans who would oppose Trump being Hitler is shockingly small, like shockingly small. Like if they're fine with everything he does, except like raise the price of gas, you know. Um,
Onto the selfish asshole thing. Did you see Caitlyn Jenner got very upset because even though Trump said he was going to do this, he was going to go after trans people, Caitlyn Jenner was still completely okay supporting Trump because she thought it wouldn't affect her. And then she got her passport and it said male on the passport. And then she threw a hissy fit about it. So
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Joe.
Or the people who work in government alongside you who got fired, but they were Trump supporters. Like, what do you mean? He said he was going to cut government employees. He said it. Oh, you don't like it when the leopards eat your face. Gotcha. Shouldn't have voted for the leopards eating face party.
I know, but it's where we are. America going down the drains, going down the drains.
Stop it. There's still hope.
No, I mean there. I'm just there's hope when Iran is our overlords or something. I don't know.
What? I'm all right.
No, I don't know. I don't know if there's hope. I don't know if there's hope.
Just give you a heads up, baby squirrel. Fucking the trailer comes out in the morning tomorrow, so
yeah, I know.
It's getting late for you.
Okay, let me get these last super chats now where you can head to bed. Been a fan of you for a decade. I want to thank you both. Thank you. What's the deal with divorce, annulment, and setting wives aside in A Song of Ice and Fire? It's a little inconsistent. So clearly in A Game of Thrones, Renly thought that setting wives aside was no big deal and was scheming to bring in Marjorie for Robert to leave Cersei to marry, based on solely on the idea that he thought maybe she looked like Lyanna and she was young. Because again, like it's so silly that people are like, well, Renly must have known about the incest or something and known that Cersei was on the way out. And it's like, according to Clash of Kings, he didn't. So like, it seems like in the first story, setting people aside in divorce was just totally cool. But then Joffrey is then like, I don't know if I can set Sansa aside with, and this is just a betrothal. They're not even married. And he's like, can I really set this betrothal aside? I made a vow, and the High Septon had to come in and say, no, it's okay. And so then all of a sudden it's like, oh, right. If the High Septon says it, okay. But then there's this idea of like, if the High Septon can set it aside if it hasn't been, if they haven't consummated. So you're talking about like issues of like Baelor the Blessed setting aside his wives because they hadn't been consummated, then that's okay. And then, so, but it still requires the High Septon. And so it's, and then there's this issue of like, you get like Daemon asking if he can set his wife aside and people refusing. So the story starts making it in the order of what George is writing. George makes it harder and harder and harder over time to set aside marriages. While in the beginning, when he first wrote a Game of Thrones, it was no big thing. So which really makes like the show's Rhaegar annulment by the High Septon kind of thing really weird. Uh, I don't know. I mean, if we're basing it off of history and we're talking about like English history, yeah, people are just making shit up as they went along, and annulments and set asides and divorces and all that kind of stuff happened. So if you're really basing it on the War of the Roses and stuff like that, sure, I guess it it can just happen when it happens and whatever. But George is incredibly inconsistent. History is inconsistent on what the standard is. So maybe that's all the situation. The characters can do whatever the fuck they want with it. But that's it. Why do I think a Dance with Dragons Davos chapters are George's worst? It's because Davos is established in A Clash of Kings as this character who is dedicated to Stannis, and then he goes to war, but then he deals with the Shadow Baby situation, and he's like, "What's happening here?" Okay, the guy I love is dealing with dark forces, and then he goes to war, and he sees his children die, and then he comes out, and he has a religious awakening, and he decides that he fucking hates Melisandre and needs to have her killed. And then he gets there and he tries to have her killed, and that doesn't work out. And then he's now questioning Stannis because Stannis is thinking about killing Edric Storm, and he decides to kidnap Edric Storm and get him out of there. So we've got like two big plot points to Davos that they deal with: his relationship with Stannis and his relationship with the Seven Gods. Or you could also say his relationship with Melisandre is a huge part of like his arc. So where does that story go when we get to A Dance with Dragons? Well, George takes Davos away from Stannis and Mel and has him not think about his religious awakening at all. So all of a sudden, those plot points, him questioning Stannis, him worrying about Mel, him thinking about the mother, none of that's dealt with in A Dance with Dragons. And instead, Davos's story is being talked at in Davos 1 by Burrell, Godfrey Burrell, Godric Burrell. What's his fucking name? About random fucking shit, like about happenings that are happening with the Theon story and stuff like that. Yeah, Godric Burrell, and like this like Sunderland Knights and things like that, who are going to be part of the Elaine story. And then he makes it to White Harbor, and he gets talked at by people in a bar about things happening with Daenerys and stuff happening in the north with Manderley and stuff like that. And then he gets talked at by Manderley about his beliefs about, staying with Stannis and the North remembers and shit like that. Davos has no agency. He does fucking nothing in the whole goddamn story. Like, there's no point where he makes a decision to do something at all. He just gets talked at by other people. It's just exposition on other people's stories. And he does nothing. He makes no choices for himself. And the three plot lines that deal with him, Stannis, Mel, and the mother, like, there's zero advancement with them. They're just forgotten. So that's my problem with Davos. It's just like, you don't feel like you're reading Davos. It's just, imagine if any other that happened with any other character, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, imagine if like Arya suddenly just like stopped talking, like all of a sudden was not dealing with faceless men and was just like in a bar getting talked to about stuff going on in the John Con plot. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, right? Like, but they would. you would never attempt that with any other character because you'd be like, this character is moving forward. Um, but that just doesn't happen with Davos. Davos just he stops being a character. He starts being, as they say, like the camera that rides. He just is just taking it in, and his story just ceases. And now when if you have to go back to it, it's going to be weird that so much time has passed. Anyway, that's. Have you read Hard to Be a God, George? It's very similar to Russian sci-fi, bittersweet, much closer to Asimov. It's weird how Essos is semi-Renaissance. Oh, absolutely, it is weird that Essos is so far ahead. I mean, technology is all over the place in Ice and Fire. Like their medical technology is way advanced, um, while other things are, you know, they have ravens and shit like that. But other things are way in the past, you know. So it's but no, I haven't read Hard to Be a God. Um, Hard to Be a God. Russian epic medieval science fiction film based on the novel of the same name. Oh, this novel takes place on a alien world populated by human beings who have not advanced past the Middle Ages. The novel's core idea is that human progress throughout the centuries is often cruel and bloody, and that religion is a tool of oppression, working to destroy scientific disciplines and enlightenment. I mean, this is very George. Narrative delves into the subjectivity of the main character, showing his own evolution from an emotionally uninvolved observer to a person who rejects his blind belief in a theory, confronted with the real events. Wow. I mean, complicated, and so complicated you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely Russian. Anyway, fascinating. I should check this out sometime. I hope there's a good translation. That's interesting. And we get to the Pluribus Severance reviews. I love them. Am I wrong? I mean, we did a Pluribus one. Do we Carmine? Did we talk about Severance ever in a proper review?
No,
Oh,
you're gonna watch Severance?
I watched Severance. I watched.
Oh,
I thought season one was great. I'm not a fan of season two.
hmm.
Um,
It seems like Severance is one of those shows where one season was okay. It was fine. We didn't
mhm.
need to.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay. It's a one and done.
I mean, I think yes. I think one season would have been fine. I'm sure they're doing, but like, I think season one had very interesting things to say about work life balance, and then season two is like it's it gets into this weird religion that has like that the office is in, but like how many people go to an office and have their office be obsessed with some weird cult like religion? Like that's just not a normal experience. While like going to work and having being separate from your personal life is like a regular everyday experience that people can relate to. And how far are you going to push that in like a sci-fi setting? And like, well, it's just not something. It's just something that doesn't ring true. Like I don't go to work and have my work like be centered around a weird Mormon like religion. Um,
What's the thing you said about Twilight Zone? About every Twilight Zone episode has an interesting concept, but
yeah,
that like is it worth like what did you say? Was it worth the 30 minute? What did you say?
right. Is it enough to fill it? Is it enough to fill 25 minutes? You know.
That's exactly what happened with Severance, in my opinion. I agree with you.
Mm.
Season one, great, but now they're like tacking on a bunch of random shit to fill out several seasons
Because
to keep that job.
because you're past the concept.
You're past the concept, and now, well, I still want to get paid. I need to pay my bills. How do we stretch this out? It's not really about keeping the story good and fresh and new. It's about how do we extend this. That's my problem with the television show From. I don't know if Phil is still in the
Yeah.
audience,
You're
but
saying
From
that it's
has
like
that
not
issue.
as the premise is enough for one season, not five. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's it. Yeah.
Ross.
Does everyone dismiss Godric Burrell's baby story? Wait, we gotta get. Oh, we're talking about the Ned's Wyla baby story. I mean, it doesn't fit the timeline at all. I don't know why it's shoved in there. Like, is George thinking that anyone would fall for this one? That why like that that Wyla is a fisherman's daughter or whatever that Ned met on his way back to uh to the north. Like, because Wyla is also supposed to be in the wet nurse down in Starfall. Now they're in completely different locations. So did he travel with Wyla the whole time? Did he bring Wyla? It's like travel around the whole continent with Wyla. Yeah, I don't know anybody that like uh it just doesn't fit location, it doesn't fit timeline, it just doesn't that's the hard part. But go back and try to make it fit. I don't know. I don't know. God. Ned Stark's bastard by the fisherman's daughter. Uh, all right, guys, thank you, thank you for being with me, and Carmine, thank you for hanging out, and we'll
Yeah,
talk to you
trailer
later.
tomorrow, man.
All right,
Tra-
later.
How's the trailer tomorrow? So.
Hot D trailer tomorrow. All right, talk to you guys soon.